Are you a beginner in Capture One and you're hoping to edit like a pro? Setting up your workspace will make a huge difference. In this video, I'll be showing you how to organize your tools, how to speed up your workflow, and how to get amazing results. Let's dive in. So when you open Capture One, this is the first interface you would encounter. You'll be asked to pick new catalog or new session. So for new catalog, when you use new catalog, the pictures are going to be grouped according to the dates they are imported into Capture One. But for new sessions, you can group the shoots separately, irrespective of when they are imported into Capture One. So for this video, I would like us to use new session because for new session, it has better organization. So all you have to do is click on new session and then this interface pops up. You're going to be asked to input the name you want to save the session with. So for this video, we can go with YouTube video as the name. And then you would see a place where you can pick the location. So the default location is always under pictures. Then for sessions, you have different subfolders. You have the capture folder, the select folder, output, and trash folder. So all you have to do is to click OK. So when you click on OK, it is going to open the main Capture One interface. And this is how it looks. So for the interface, there are different tabs and cursor tools. So in this video, we'll be explaining them. So the first thing to do is to import pictures into your Capture One. You click on Import, and it's going to open up this dialog box. All you have to do is to select the pictures directly from your card that you want to import. So first of all, you ensure your memory card is inserted into your system. So you can select as much as you want by simply clicking on these boxes. Or if you want to import everything, you simply click Pick All and it will select all of it. So let's say, for example, I want to import just these 4 pictures. So after selecting, you click on Import Images. And then the pictures are going to load into Capture One. So these are the pictures. We have them here. So this is one way to import pictures into Capture One. So the second way to go about importing pictures to your Capture One is simply by going to your system directory and locating where you have the files. For example, if I want to import these pictures to my Capture One, I can simply select them and then copy them directly to my capture folder. Remember when we are creating the new session, we talked about capture folder. So I need to just locate where the capture name is. When we are creating it, we opened it or we saved it as YouTube video. So I just come to YouTube video, click on it, and then remember sessions, they have different folders, 4 folders actually. So all I have to do is copy these pictures into the capture folder. So I simply paste it and it will automatically load into Capture One. So we have the pictures in our capture folder. Under the library, we have the capture folder, the select folder, the output location, and the trash folder. So this trash folder is where deleted files go to. Export pictures from your Capture One. They go to a folder known as the output location. Still under the library, we have the filters, and these filters, they are also known as ratings. So there are different ratings, the 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, up to 5 stars. So how this works is, if you want to categorize different pictures in a session into different stars, take for example, you're done with a shoot and the client wants to select, you can ask the client to select the pictures based on stars. So if I want to select this picture now, I like it and I want it to go under the 1 star, I simply press 1 on my keyboard and it moves to the 1 star. So if I come down to 1 star rating, I can see the picture here. So I can still go back to the none, which is where the general collection of pictures are, and whichever star I want to give or whichever rating I want to give a picture, I simply have to press from 1 to 5 depending on how I want to rate it. So I can rate this 5, I can rate this 4, can rate this 3, and we have the different pictures here. So this just helps you to organize your pictures effectively. So moving from the library tab, we have the Tethered tab. This tab is used when you want to shoot directly from your camera to your Capture One. All you have to do is get a cord, a Tether cord, connect it, and then you can shoot directly. Once it is plugged in, you can actually do your shooting from your capture one. So these are the different settings under or different tools under the Tethered tab. You have where you can do the settings of the camera. You have where you can adjust the focus, the camera setting, and all of that. So the next tab is the style tab, and under this tab we have the basic characteristics. Under that we have the ICC profile. So the ICC profile simply talks about the camera profile that was used in taking the particular image I selected. So for this particular image, it was taken using the Canon 6D Pro standard. So a good thing about Capture One is that you can decide to render a picture with the different camera profiles that are there. So since the picture was taken with a Canon, I can decide to render it as a Sony camera using the Sony profile. So all I have to come is hover around this and pick any camera profile that is suitable to me. So there are different cameras. There's Nikon, there's Sony. So the different profiles that you see over here, anyone you prefer, you can just hover around it to see which renders the picture the best way you prefer. So another thing under the style tab is the styles and presets. Under that we have the custom styles, the built-in styles, and the built-in presets. So for the custom styles, this basically talks about styles that are imported into Capture One. The built-in styles talks about styles that comes with Capture One, and then built-in presets are presets that comes with Capture One. So there's a difference between styles and presets. So styles talk about making different adjustments using different tools and then saving them for future use. While preset talks about making adjustments on a singular tool and then saving it for future use. Take for example, for this particular image, if I adjust these different tools, I come to the white balance, I make an adjustment to it, come to the exposure, make adjustment to it, then come down to the high dynamic range and make an adjustment to it, and then maybe come to the levels and still make adjustments. This is simply me making adjustments using different tools. And then when I save this particular adjustments I've made, it becomes a style. But if I want to make a precept talks about me making adjustments to a singular tool. For example, I come to the exposure tool and then I move these different tools under it. I move them separately and then I save it. It becomes a precept. So it is known as a precept when you don't go to any other tool to make adjustments. You simply make all your adjustments under a single tool. So that's the example or the difference between styles and precepts. So we still have custom styles, built-in styles, and built-in precept. Custom styles, they refer to styles that are imported into Capture One by you from an external source. Then the built-in styles are styles that come directly from Capture One. So there are different styles you can actually look at. These are styles that they are directly from Capture One. Then the custom styles, they are styles that are imported into Capture One from an external source. So the next tab we have is the adjustment tab. So under the adjustment tab, which is um the most used tab for me, we have the histogram, we have the layers, the style brush, and lots of them. So the histogram is simply a graphical representation of the different colors in your image. So it just shows where the colors are concentrated for a particular image. So under it you have the ISO, the shutter speed, and the aperture, which shows the settings that the image was taken. So the next two is the layer and mask tool. And under this tool, we have the subject, the background, and the people. In order to explain this better, I would like to pick another image, a full image preferably. Okay, we can work with this. So once you click on subjects, Capture One is automatically going to try to select the subject from the image. So all you have to do in order to see the selection is to press M on your keyboard, and then it reveals the marks. As you can see, the image or the subject itself is selected. So what this simply means, any adjustment you make affects just the subjects. So you can press M to take out the marks and then make your adjustments. So the next one is the background. Once you click on the background, Capture One is going to try or is going to select the background for you, excluding the subject. So as usual, you press M and then you see the selection. The background is properly selected, and any adjustment you make affects just the background. So the third one, which is the people, this is a new feature in Capture One. So it helps you select different parts of the subjects. So if you want to select the body skin, the face, all you have to do is highlight whichever one you want to select. You can also highlight all of them and it will select them individually and create different folders for them. So for example, if you want to select just the body skin, you highlight it to make sure it is highlighted and you click on create marks and it is automatically going to select the skin. So you press M to reveal it and you see that it is selecting the body skin of the subject, and then any adjustments you make will affect just that part that is selected. So the next thing under this tab talks about layers. There are different layers. There are 4 layers actually. So there's the new empty adjustment layer, the new field adjustment layer, new clone layer, and new hue layer. So for the new empty adjustment layer, once you click on it, what it's simply saying is it is opening an empty layer for you. All you have to do before making adjustment is to select or paint the part you want the adjustment to affect or to take effect. For example, if I want to brighten the hand, I have created new empty adjustment layer. I take my brush by pressing M on my keyboard and then pressing M to reveal marks so I can see where I am painting. So I can simply paint around where I want to select or simply brush the entire place. But I can do this, come over to the layer and right click and say fill marks. Capture One is going to help me fill it based on the selection I've made. Then in order for the edges to look smooth and better, I can also right click and say refine marks. It's going to ask me the radius of um, refining I want to do. So I can pick the best one. If it's like this, I don't like how it is, I can keep pushing it down till I get a perfect selection and then I click on apply. So after doing that, I can now make any adjustment and the adjustment will affect just the portion of the body that is selected. So that is for new empty adjustment layer. So the next one we have over here is a new field layer. This new field layer simply means the entire image is selected. The selection is everywhere. Any adjustment you make affects the entire image. I clicked on my marks and you can see the marks is showing on the entire image, not on any selected part. So any adjustments I make here would affect the entire image. So when I want to edit, I always like creating a new field layer first. So if I have any correction or I want to reduce the opacity, I can reduce the opacity at once. So I make my general adjustments here. So the next one we have is the new clone layer. So this works almost like the clone layer or the clone tool in Photoshop. So all you have to do is create the layer, pick your clone tool. The shortcut on the keyboard is S. So you have to select the parts you want to fix. Hold alternate on your keyboard, click on it, and then push it to whichever part you want to fix. For example, so the part I am holding alternate to click is the part I like. I hold alternate. Let me look for a different image that would help us illustrate this better. So I want to take out this little pimple here. I hold alternate, select the good part I want, and then click on the position I want to clean, and then it tries to clean it off. So it is not as good or as accurate as Photoshop, but it does a pretty nice job too. So the next layer we have is the new hue layer. So when you simply select it, it is going to pick the healing marks. So the way this works is you simply brush on the parts you want to heal or the blemish you want to take out. Simply brush on it and Capture One will try to take it out for you. So then the last feature under this is just move image layer adjustment to new layer. It's just trying to say any adjustments you've made on a particular layer, you can move it to a new layer. It automatically move or create a new layer for you. So that is that for the layers. So the next two under the adjustment tab is the white balance. The white balance has to do with how the color of your image is rendered. So under the white balance, we have the Kelvin and the tints. So if you want to achieve a cool image, you simply push towards the blue part of the Kelvin. If you want to have a warm image, you push to this direction, and then as you can see, the image gets warmer. But if you want it to be cool, you push to the opposite direction. Then the tint, for the tint, it deals with green and magenta. So if you want your image to have a tint of green, you just simply push this way, and if you want it to have a tint of magenta, you push it this way. So after the white balance, we have the exposure tool. Before I forget, for the white balance, there's also a tool, a picker tool, that helps that you can use in order to tell Capture One to help you pick or select a perfect white balance. So in order to do that, all you simply have to do is click on this picker tool and then select a part of the image, either a white part or a black part of the image, an area that has no color. And then the Capture One is simply going to try to give you a perfect white balance for the image. So it's now left for you to decide if you like the white balance it has selected, or if the white balance it has selected matches with what you saw when you were having the shoot or not. Or you can simply move the sliders to get what you have in mind. So the next tool is the exposure tool. For the exposure tool, under it we have the exposure, the contrast, the brightness, saturation. So for the exposure, it just helps to brighten the image, but it's a bit drastic because the movement is quite, or the intensity is quite much. So we have contrast, we have brightness, we have saturation. So for contrast, it's simply saying add more brightness to the already bright areas and then add more darkness or blacks to the already black areas. So if I move this contrast, you see that the dark areas get darker and then the bright areas they get brighter. For the brightness, you're simply saying brighten the image up a bit. It is not as drastic as exposure is. Reason being that brightness starts from the dark areas, starts brightening from the dark areas before getting to the already bright areas in the image, unlike exposure that just brightens everywhere at once. So after that, we have the saturation. So saturation increases the intensity of the color of the entire image all at once. So there's a slight difference between saturation and vibrance. So for vibrance, it moves or increases the intensity of the colors of the less saturated areas so as to match the saturation of the entire image. But for saturation, it just increases the intensity all at once. So the next is the shadow. The shadow talks about the dark areas of the image that still has the details showing. So as you can see, this place looks dark, but we can still see the details. Then the next we have the white. So the white talks about bright areas of the image that there's no detail showing. You can't see the details anymore. Let's go to this. Take for example this image, this part. We can barely see any detail from here if there were to be a detail here. So talks about white. White just simply talks about the bright part of the images without details. The black too talks about the dark images or dark parts of the image without details. We can see a little bit of details of the hair here, but over at this point, we can't see any details here. So these are blacks. So the next talks about the levels. So the levels, they show us the different color representation, the red, the green, and the blue. But you can work on them together by simply clicking on the RGB. So for the levels, this area or this part talks about the blacks, and this part talks about the whites, the highlights, the shadows, the midtones. So if you move this part inwards, you're simply adding more blacks. So you are adding more blacks to the already dark areas. And if you move this part, you're adding more whites to the already bright areas. So the next we have talks about the curves. So the curves still used to make adjustments to add brightness or darkness to the image based on the colors, the red, green, and the blue. So the next under this tab is the color editor. So the color editor, it has three layers or three sections. It has the basic, the advanced, and the skin tone. So for the basic, it just shows you the different color tabs. And for an image, let's look at this image. You can simply say, okay, this is the color I am seeing, and I want to make adjustments to this specific color. For example, I want to work on the grains for this image. I can simply click on it, and there's the hue, the saturation, and the lightness. So I can change the hue of this green to a different shade of blue. So I can push the slider this way, and as you can see, the hue or the color of the green is actually changing. I can also add saturation, more intensity to the colors of the green. Then I can lighten or darken it depending on what I want. So this allows you to work on colors individually. So, but if you're unable to know the color you want to work on, you can simply use the picker tool to help you identify the color. So if I click on this, it will just automatically take me here, and I know this is the color that I selected. So after the basic, we have the advanced. So for this advanced, the way it works is you have to use this picker tool to select the part of the image you want to work on. So if I want to work on this, I simply click this, and it will show me a selection that is representing the area of the image I picked. So I can now make adjustments. I can decide to increase the saturation, but as you can see, it is affecting both the skin. That is because the area I picked is red, and then there's a bit of red on the skin. So, but I can still decide to try to reduce the selection or narrow the selection by moving this, trying to tell it to narrow the selection. And when I move the saturation, it's not going to affect the skin as much as it did the first time. So after this, we have the skin tone. So for the skin tone, immediately you click on the area of the image you want, it is going to show a selection of it. So once I use the skin tone to do my selection, there's the amount and uniformity under skin tone. So in order to explain this, I'll move back to our previous image. So for skin tone, like I said earlier, you take your picker tool and you pick the part of the skin you want to make adjustment to. So for this first one, amounts, any adjustment you make, it will try to change the hue of that particular point of the image that you selected. If you move the saturation, it's going to increase the intensity of the color of that area or the areas that has the same color with where you selected. Whereas for the uniformity, it is going to adjust every color in the image to match that area you've selected. If I move this, if you look at the lips, the color of the lips has changed because it is changing it to match with the color of the part of the image I selected earlier. If I move the saturation, to move everything. So it's going to try to uniform the entire skin tone irrespective of the different colors in the image. So the next on this adjustments tab has to do with the color balance. So the color balance has three-way. You can actually work with the master, or you can work with them individually. Individually in the sense you can work on the shadow separately, work on the midtone separately, work on the highlight separately. And something I forgot to mention, if you want to reset what you've done, or you want to undo the adjustments you've made, you can simply click on this arrow pointing this way, and then it just undoes everything you've done on that adjustment too. So coming back to the color balance, if you are the master, you can make adjustments here, or you can work on them separately, or you can have them displaying over here and you make your different adjustments. So if I come to the shadow, any adjustment I make, it simply says I'm trying to add this color to the shadow. So if I want to add yellow to the shadow, I move to this point. If I want to add green, I move it to this point. So if I want the intensity to be much, I simply keep moving this circle to the end points. If I want to reduce the intensity, I simply do this, or I can simply use this slider to increase or reduce the intensity. Same thing works with the midtone. You want to add a particular color to the midtone, you do the movements or adjustments here. So next we have the black and white. You can simply add black and white to your image, enable black and white, and it turns to black and white, and then it displays the different colors. You can then decide to tweak them the way you want. So that's for the black and white. So we have the clarity. So this, under the clarity, we have clarity and structure. So the way clarity works is that for clarity, it tends to sharpen the image. At the same time, it adds contrast to the image in the sense that the blacks get blacker and the whites get brighter. So while for the structure just tends to add sharpness to the image without adding contrast. Then for the haze, if you have an image, maybe during the shoot you use smoke and it's having this smoky effect, you can use it to reduce the intensity of the smoke. So the haze tends to add a bit of contrast and color to the image. So while it's making it darker in order to take out the smoke, it is also adding color to the image, popping the color in order to bring back the originality. Because the smoke just tends to make the image look desaturated. So the haze will try to take out the smoke by adding blacks, and at the same time, it's going to try to add or bring back the original color in the image. So then we have the vignettes. Vignettes is, it has different types. You can do the circular, just any type you want, but it's just used to add um um it's used to add blacks to the edges of the picture, or you can add white depending on the area or side you are moving the slides to. So it is just used to, you can use it to achieve something very creative. So after the adjustment tab, we have the refine tab. So under the refine tab, it just talks about okay, for this first one, the navigator, it just helps you have a preview of the image. It helps you previewing on a bigger screen. Then you can decide to reduce or increase. So you can select the area or the part you want to actually be highlighted. If you want it to be the face, if you want it to be the eyes, that's just how it works. Then next we have sharpening. For the sharpening, just used to sharpen the image. You can decide the amount of sharpening you want to add. You can add it from here. Have radius threshold and all of that. We have noise reduction. If you used a wrong ISO to take the pictures, you can reduce the noise using this. Then we have the film grain, we have the dust remover, we have purple fringing and all of that. So another thing we have over here is the color. So for colors, it just talks about different adjustments that are used in order to adjust the color of the image. So just like the ones we talked about earlier, white balance, basic characteristics, color editor. So they do the same thing just like they do it under the adjustments tab. So, but one thing about this color, one feature it has or one tool it has is the normalize. So in order to use normalize, you have to click on this first picker tool. You simply use it to pick the part of the image that you like, that you feel is perfect. And then select the second picker tool to apply the settings of that first one to the entire image. So when I click on it, it's going to apply it. So as you can see, the entire image gets very, very bright. So the next thing I would like to show you guys or talk about it are the cursor tools. So under the cursor tools, we have this first one, which is a select tool. We have the pan tool and several other tools. So for this first one, the select tool, simply used to select different images from your selection. Then the palm tool just helps you to just zoom in by tapping. So, but under the palm tool, we have some other tools. So we have the move overlay and the move watermark. Then for this third tool, the loop tool, it is actually used, you have other tools with it. You have the zoom in, the zoom out, the pick focus points. But the way the loop tool works is that it just helps to magnify a particular part of the image that you have selected. And then we also have the zoom in and the zoom out. You can use Control and plus to zoom in and Control and minus to zoom out. We have the crop tool, which helps you to crop to different sizes. There's 4x5, which is the Instagram size, and a lot of other different sizes you can select from and crop your image. We have the rotate or straighten tool. It is actually used to straighten and rotate the image depending on how you want. So I can use this to rotate it. If I want to, if the image is not looking straight, I can then rotate it using this tool. So we have this tool, which is the keystone vertical. It's also used to straighten images. If the image or a part of the image is not looking straight, you can actually make adjustments to straighten it the way you want. Once you move it to the direction you want, you simply click or press apply, and it would make adjustments to it. So most times it is used for images that are distorted, maybe distortion caused by the lens you used for the shoot. You can use this to make corrections. So the next tool under the cursor tool is the draw marks or the brush tool, and underneath it we have the magic brush, the AI select, and the draw linear gradients, draw radial gradients marks. So for the brush tool, like we said, simply paint on the area you want to work on. If the mark is not visible, press M to make it visible, and then you can increase or make your adjustments, and it will affect just that area that you have painted or selected. So we have the magic brush. The way the magic brush works, you just have to click on a particular part, and the Capture One will try to select similar areas in terms of color and tone, and select them, and then you can make your adjustments to affect just that area that have been selected. For the AI select, the AI select, the way it works, you simply have to hover around, and it will try to select areas that has similar colors. So if I want to select the face, I hover around, and you can see the marks is showing on the face already. I simply click on it, and it just selects the face, and then I can make my adjustments, and it will affect just the face. So we also have the draw linear gradient marks. So this is it just works with lines, or it just displays lines, and then when you press your M, it shows the marks. It works in a linear format, and then M again to take out the marks, and the adjustments will come in a linear format. So we also have the next one, the draw radial gradient marks. So this one works in a circular format. So if I want to make adjustments to the face, I can decide to reduce or increase it depending on what I want. And then if I press my marks, you see that it is selecting the entire image, but taking out this portion where the radial marks is. So I'm saying the effect should affect other areas except this point. So if I do this, the other areas gets bright, and then this portion doesn't. So I can decide to still invert these marks, come to the layer, right click on it, and say invert marks, and it inverts the marks. So this time when I make adjustments, it affects the face and doesn't affect the background. So we have, after this two, we also have the clone marks, which is like we used earlier. You can use it to clone areas or remove blemishes. We have the erase tool. So if I have made an adjustment using my marks tool, let's say I've painted on an area of the image using my marks tool, and then I want to erase some portion, can take my erase tool and then simply clean it off. So that's for the erase tool. So we have the picker tool that we use to apply normalization. We have the apply tool. So you can copy adjustments and paste. So let's say, for example, I've made adjustments to this image, balanced it, I brightened it, just make some few adjustments. I can decide to copy these adjustments by clicking on this arrow, copy, and then pasting it on a new image. Let's say, for example, this image, I can then apply, click on apply, and the adjustment applies to this image. So one way it works, if you have maybe from this shoot, many pictures were selected, I can make adjustments to one and then copy the adjustment and paste it on several others. Shortcut to copy is Ctrl Shift C, and then to paste you have Ctrl Shift V. So still on the interface of Capture One, there's the before and after. So this tab is what you use for before and after. So but the before and after, it has two different types. There's the full view and the split view. So for the full view, this is how it works. If you click on it, it takes you to the before. Click on it, takes you to the after. The shortcut is Y on your keyboard. So if you want to work with the split view, simply click on split view, and it divides into two. You have the before here and you have the after on this part. So the next thing over here is the grid. So the grid just gives you a grid line, which helps you in cropping perfectly, or helps you to straighten the picture to know if the picture is looking straight or not. Then there's the exposure warning. When the exposure warning is on, if it just shows you or gives you a warning that, oh, some parts of the image are getting overexposed or underexposed. You can decide to leave it on or take it off. So that is that for that. Then under this area, there is this toggle multitask view. So how it works, if I want to make selection of different images or more than one image, I hold my control and I keep clicking on the image and they keep displaying. So but if the toggle is not on, toggle primary slash multi view, it is not going to display the images like this. It is simply going to select them, but they won't display on my screen. So this is just to proof margin, just zooms it out and zooms it back in. So another thing I would want to show us is how to export using Capture One. So if you want to export, say more than one image, you simply select the images you want to export, right click on it and click on export. So when you want to do that, it will show you export, export to previous setting, export original files. So the export to previous settings, if you've exported previously, it's going to copy the settings and apply it to this particular one. And then export original files if you want to export it the way the picture came from your camera without any adjustments made to it. Or if not, simply click on export and it takes you to this um, dialog box or interface. Under this interface, you can see the export recipes. You pick depending on the recipe you want. So if you want JPEG full size high quality, if you want JPEG Instagram, whichever one you want. But note, the recipe you want to use, make sure the recipe is selected, the box is checked, because you can decide to check more than one box. If you check more than one, the way I'm checking three here, is going to export the image in three different formats. So but what shows when you click on a particular format, it will show you the metadata of that format. So whichever one is highlighted, that's the format that is going to show here. But whichever one is ticked, so that the box is ticked, is what is going to export as. So you can export in three different formats or more than one format. But if you want to export in one, simply click on it and then you can come over here to make some adjustments. So the location, the default location is the output. Remember when we were creating sessions, we said when you create sessions, it has different folders. One of them is output. So that's where it automatically goes to. But if you want to have a subfolder, that's a folder inside the output, you can create that. If not, you can leave it blank. And then we have the format and size. So you can increase or decrease the quality. So if I increase the quality, say to 100, it is going to increase the size of the image. So it is having 14 MB as the size. If I reduce it, you'd notice that the size is going to reduce. So you can make adjustments to that. The ICC profile, the one you prefer, then resolution at 300, fixed at 100. So you can make adjustments to this to match what you want. But these are the settings I use for mine. So you also have the watermark area. So it is usually this way, showing nothing. But if you want to show a preview text on it, you can click on text. If you want to send the images to your clients to make selection, you can just add a preview text on it before sending to them. Then if you have your watermark, you click on image, and then you can drag your watermark from wherever it is on your system to this point, or locate it and bring it down to this place. So you can make adjustments to the text and reduce or increase the opacity, increase the size or reduce the size. And then this last one shows you the summary, which is like a summary of the image. The size is going to be 1.6 MB, JPEG format, ICC profile. So once you are done checking all these things, you simply click on export and it's going to export the three images to the output location. So once it's done with that, Capture One is definitely going to notify you that it has exported those images to your output location. So something else I want to show us is if you're done with your editing and you want to move your images straight to Photoshop, what do you do? For example, I want to move these three images. I simply right click and say edit with. So there's edit with, there's open with. So when you're moving to Photoshop for the first time, you work with edit with. So once you click on edit with, you select the Photoshop. If you have more than one, you can select the Photoshop you want to use. Click on it and it brings up this box, dialog box. So The formats, I prefer using TIFF, but there are different formats. There's JPEG, there's PSD, whichever format works for you, you pick it. There's 16 bits, there's 8 bits, whichever your system can carry. If your system has the spec to carry 16 bits, 16 bits is higher than 8 bits, you simply make the selection. There's the ICC profile, there's the resolution, there's the fix. So once you're done, I leave all of this fixed this way, and then I click on edit variants, and it moves the pictures down to Photoshop. So again, if you are familiar with Lightroom and the interface of Capture One looks confusing, you can actually change your interface to look like that of Lightroom. How to do that? Simply come to Windows, come to Workspace, and you click on Migration, and it's automatically going to change to an interface that looks like that of Lightroom. So you can still take it back, come to Windows, Workspace, and click on Defaults. It will return back to its default settings. I believe we've been able to cover every aspect concerning the interface of Capture One, and with this you can get started the right way. If you found this video helpful, do not forget to like our video, subscribe to our channel so you get more photography and retouching tips. If you have questions, you can drop them in the comment section and we'll do well to attend to them. See you in the next video.